This video will walk you through how to build a wireless LAN using an Aruba controller and access point. There are 4 main steps in the process of creating a wireless LAN, starting with resetting the controller and access point. After this is done, the controller is set up, the wireless network is set up, then the access point is provisioned. In order to reset the controller, make sure that the console port of the controller is hooked up to the serial port on the PC you're working on, then open a terminal in PuTTY. At the user prompt, log in with username admin and password admin1. After this, issue the command enable with the password enable. Issue the command write erase all, then press the Y key to proceed. After this is completed, type reload, then Y to restart the system. Switch the Ethernet cable from the console port of the controller to the console port on the bottom of the access point. In the PuTTY terminal, press the enter key to stop the auto boot process. Type purge at the AP boot prompt. Type save at the AP boot prompt, then type reset to reboot the access point. The next step is to configure the controller.
In order to access the dashboard GUI page for the controller, first we need to open our web browser and connect to the IP address of the controller, which is 10.1.10.100. To log in, you need to use admin as your username and admin1 as your password. Now you'll be able to access the GUI page. You're going to click on the configuration tab, select controller wizard. This will open up a page that will allow us to change the name and the basic information on the controller. You will name your controller controller1 and then press next. You will select standalone and then press next. Here, this would allow us to add a new VLAN to the router or the controller. You'll press new and you'll name this one VLAN 12. You'll give it an IP address of 10.1.12.0 with a subnet mask of 24 or 255.255.255.0. You will select on the DHCP settings and you will make it act as a server, and its network would be 10.1.12.0 with a subnet mask of 24 once again. As a default router, you will use 10.1.12.1 with the DNS server of 10.254.1.21. You'll select OK and then next. Here you'll set here you would just leave it as is and press next. This one allows you to enable the ports. We're going to select port 10 and we're going to select its VLAN to be VLAN 10. Allow it to enable trunk mode, and then you allow VLANs 10 and 12 onto this port. Upon adding the ports, you will now disable the STP for all the ports. You'll press next. Here you just leave it as is and press next, and then you will select finish. Next, we open PuTTY in the desktop to configure VLAN 10 and VLAN 12 to operate state up. To do this, we will use the following commands. Use config T, then type in interface VLAN 10, enter, operate state up, enter, exit, and we would repeat this process again for VLAN 12.
In order to configure a WLAN first, we need to click the Configurations tab, then go to Wizards, then WLAN/LAN Wizard. Select Campus Only, then click on Begin. Click the New button and add the group My Master Controller 1, then click OK. From here we click Next and then Continue in the page to configure the wireless LAN. In the next page, we click New to create a new frame name for a WLAN, also known as SSID, and enter the name Dell's Angels. The next step is how to get your network into tunnel mode and select Radio Type All. Next, select VLAN X1, not VLAN sub X1. We want this to be internal, so we select that feature as well, then click Next. Pushing forward to the next step, network security. To configure this setting, we need to go to the Authentication and Encryption page and select the second bar on the spectrum that reads Strong Encryption but without link layer authentication, followed by WPA-2 Personal as the authentication. We select AES, TKIP as the encryption from the drop-down menu, and we use Aruba 123 as the pre-shared key or PSK. Continuing forward to do the next step in network security, the prompt will ask you to use captive portal after PSK. We do not want this feature to use because it creates extra security layers that will not be part of this experiment. Now time to specify the roles and policies of the network. This means that the roles will be assigned to certain specified authenticated clients once they sign in. We will now be opting the policy Allow All, and this applies to the rules that will be applied to the users. Then click Next. Confirm that the role assignment has been authenticated and click Next. Now the Dell's Angels authentication is done and the Dell's Angels WLAN configuration is complete, we are done. Click Finish at the bottom of the screen and this completes Lab 3.1. If we had wanted to add more configurations and more WLANs, we would simply have to have clicked again and then restart the process to add more. The access point, or AP, is currently running the default group. We will need to move this access point to the Master Controller X group that we made in the previous lab. To do this, we will need to open the correct window so that we go to Configuration, Wireless, Access Point Installation, select the correct access point, then click Provision. There should only be one AP listed for this project, but in reality there could be many. Select from the drop-down menu your provision, then from the next drop-down menu select Master Controller X for the AP group. Check to ensure that the Obtain IP address using DHCP has been enabled. Then click Apply and Reboot. This should take a few minutes to reboot, so give it some time to ensure that your SSID is being broadcasted by your AP. Next, click Monitoring at the tab at the top left and scroll down to the bottom to view the WLAN section to check if the SSID is being broadcasted correctly. At this point, you are done with Lab 4.1.